Leanne Stevens comes from a family that has a long history when it comes to education. She always knew that she was going to be able to go to college. However, finding what she really wanted to do with her life took a bit more searching.
I was born in Hazard, Kentucky. I have one sister. Her name is Susan. I've lived here all my life. We lived real close to town. We could walk to town, walk to school even if we wanted to. Mom and Dad both value education. Since I was a little girl, they talked about you're going to college, you will go to college. My dad would say, I can't give you everything in this world, but I can give you an education. I will pay for your college education. As long as you want to go to college, I will pay for you to go to college. But if you have that ticket, you can be independent. I remember him saying the word, the ticket. So if you can graduate from college, you'll have the ability to be independent and self-sufficient and get a job. And so I grew up with that. I grew up with knowing that I was going to go to college someday. On both sides of my family, there have been people who valued education and found it to be very important. My grandmother on my dad's side was born in 1886. She rode a horse to boarding school. She went from Magoffin County to Prestonsburg to attend boarding school. And she graduated 8th grade. So back then that was a big deal. She qualified to be a school teacher by graduating from 8th grade. 3 of her brothers were also teachers. My dad grew up during the Depression, and some of my aunts and uncles went to Berea, some went to Alice Lloyd. My dad joined the Navy, and when he came back from the Navy, he went to University of Kentucky and got a law degree. My mother was the first one in her family to graduate from college. She went to Union College. Neither of her parents graduated high school, but they owned a gas station. And my grandfather worked for Standard Oil, and his brother also worked for Standard Oil. And my mom told me that her uncle, Avery, would come to visit her in Barberville and tell her how proud he was of her going to college. So she was a school teacher here in Hazard. She started at Lothair Elementary School, and my sister's a school teacher now. I would say I was an average student, at least. I don't think I was one of the best, but I was a pretty good student. I struggled with math. I think a lot of kids in this area struggle with math. And I have no explanation for that. I really do not know why that is. In grade school, I thought about 2 things: becoming an artist or an attorney. And my dad is an attorney, so I'm sure that's where that influence came in. An artist, I don't know. I guess I just like to draw. And I'm not really that great at that either. But I guess from time to time I thought about becoming a veterinarian, but I didn't like the sight of blood. So that narrows down the field. When I got into college and didn't really quite make it in accounting, I changed my degree to business. That didn't really work either. So finally I stumbled upon journalism, and I think the way I did that, I wrote a paper for, I believe it was a history class. That's what it was, a history class. And the teacher gave me an A+ circle. And I thought, and he wrote well written. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe that's the direction I need to go into. So I majored in journalism, and with some advertising classes and photography, so the art came into it. After college, even at that time, I think it was hard for journalists. It was hard to get work with a newspaper. I think now that field is very difficult to break into and make a good living. I was trying to find where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, And I really do not know what led me into paralegal school, except that Midway College had that program. It could be that maybe I heard about that in the news, and my dad is an attorney, and I thought, well, maybe I should go in that direction. And then when I did, I loved it. I loved it. I had a 4-point average in paralegal studies, and I got that little. It was like a certificate or what in a year. I think just 2 semesters, and I was out of there and on my way to law school. And to me, that kind of brought together a lot of different things, because you have to be a good writer, I think, to be an attorney. And I also always thought, well, if I get a law degree, I would be more marketable as a journalist for a newspaper, maybe. If you have that degree, it might look a little better. I think at a certain age, you figure out that the rest of the world is kind of looking down on you because you're from Appalachia, and you're thinking, gosh, why? It was kind of an idyllic childhood. Why would somebody look down on us? That became more of an obstacle as I started going through college. I first went to Georgetown College, and I felt like a lot of the students from the cities in Kentucky would make fun of the way I talk, my accent, whatever. And I felt very self-conscious. I didn't want to speak out in class. It really wasn't until I went to law school at Memphis State University, and where I was surrounded by students from Arkansas and West Tennessee, and they sounded exactly like me, and nobody thought I was any different. In fact, they didn't even know I was from Eastern Kentucky. So that becomes an obstacle when I think there's a bit of discrimination against people from Appalachia. I wanted to run for district judge because the drug problem was taking a hold of the county, and I felt like the court system at that time was being so lenient that crime and criminals and the drug problem was just running amok. It was destroying my hometown, and I didn't like that. And I thought, well, somebody needs to change this. It made me nervous, really nervous to do it. I wasn't sure I could do it. I mean, I could run for election. I had no idea what I was doing. I even tried to talk other attorneys into doing it because I just knew that we needed a change. But anyway, I became the one to get out there and do it. The best part about being a judge is when someone comes up to you and says, I want to thank you for putting me in jail and making me go to rehab. I have a job now. I've turned my life around. I have my children back. That's very, very rewarding. So for all the hard, negative side of it, when one person comes up to you and says that, it just makes you hang in there and realize, you got to keep going.
Leanne has found her passion in life. As an attorney and district judge, she has returned to the place she grew up and gives back to the community through her service.